there were several points made in there, and I'm just curious. Right now, the total budget of the town for legal services for 2011 is $203,000. And if this resolution is adopted, we will probably allocate or be committed to spend almost $200,000 of that. And the issue is this. In the proposal that was submitted to the town, there's a clear statement in there that says litigation costs are not covered by their proposal. In our contract, all right, they've specifically excluded that. If you look at the current budget, and I brought this out the other night, we have allocated $30,000 for litigation fees. Now, if we're going to commit that money to 11 monthly payments, where are we going to get the money for litigation fees? The other thing is attorney's fees outside of scope. There's $14,500 allocated for that. We just came out of a meeting going over the Time Warner contract and litigation fees that are going to have to be expended this year that are not included in this budget. And I have a real big concern, where are we going to get those revenues when we have to go out of scope or for law litigation fees? The other thing is this. If you look at last year's budget, ending budget numbers that were provided to this board, total fees last year for legal services were $102,000. Now, the other Godlewski left, probably I think in October. So there were 2 months of his salary that should be included in this. So let's say that gets you up to $110,000. What we're basically doing is, by adopting this amendment, all right, we're going to double our legal costs, and we still have to worry about law litigation and attorney fees. And the issue I have is this. The reason the funds on the legal department are allocated the way they are, all right, it isn't to spend them and commit those dollars by signing an agreement with one law firm, because you lose your financial flexibility as you go forward for the rest of the year. It's called the budget. And what happens throughout the year, you need money from one line to the next. And I have a very big concern as far as where we're going to get those monies. We brought it up the other night. Now, I don't know whether the board members who are bringing this resolution forward have an answer to that, but when I get done, I would appreciate an answer. The other point is this, and this point was made the other night. In October 22nd of this year, we changed our purchasing policy based on recommendations from the New York State Controller's audit on an audit that was done in 2008. And under professional services, we added a line that said, any contract over $50,000, we have to go out for bids on it. This contract is clearly well over $50,000. All right? And for the people don't think that I just made that up what the controller said, I made some copies of the actual audit and some comments that they had in there. I'm going to read. Quote, by opting not to seek competition for professional services, there is an increased risk that the town is not paying the most reasonable price for those services. When this process is not open to competition, there is also an increased risk of favoritism or impropriety. As a result of this, the town is at risk of not expending money in the best interest of its taxpayers. And the recommendation was, the board should consider revising this procurement policy to require the town officials to award professional service contracts only after soliciting competition. And that is all I have to say, Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Godlewski?
No.
Ms. DeLeva?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes, and I just wanted to also clarify some other stuff from the comptroller's audit. It also mentioned a verse that, from our own purchasing policy, that we do not, for professional services that require technical skill or expertise, we do not have to bid out. They recommended bidding out professional services only based on issues they were having at the time, which they cited throughout the comptroller's report of a sitting town board member in the last administration that also had an IT contract with the town. That was the main gist of the comptroller's audit. It wasn't geared towards professional services in the attorney arena, so I just want everybody to know that. There was no requirements from the audit, it was simple recommendations, and we're in a very specific situation here where the majority of the town is run by the legal side, and Joe, sorry, the current town attorney, Mr. McCarty, is in need of help, and this firm is all-inclusive, minus some of the terms, or the line items that Mr. Godlewski spoke of, and also tax reserves also has its own line in the budget that we didn't touch at all. Just wanted to make those points clear, and my vote is yes.
Mr. Calder?
Okay. Regarding this same situation, number one, as Matt stated and I stated before, Mr. Martin stated, excuse me, Mr. Licardi is in need of help. The young attorney that we had here, Mr. Godlewski, did a great job, pretty much fresh out of law school, and was an asset. There's no question about it, and it was tough when we lost him, and it put Mr. Licardi at a disadvantage. There's a lot going on in this town. There's a lot coming up in this town. We need professional legal services that give us a good variety of expertise and experience. And this firm, Daniels & Porco, is going to give us that. They come highly recommended. They are not from the town of Rotterdam, so as far as partiality goes or anything else, our contractors or any of our people up here on this board, there absolutely is none. It's zero. They're going to do the job that we need. We have to go forward. The town needs help. And we just can't run it with a 20-hour-a-week attorney or a part-time young person just out of law school. It just can't work this way anymore. We've been a bedroom community too long. We have to encourage business. We have to encourage our zoning board to keep moving. They do a great job. They need help. Our planning board needs help. We all need the help. So I vote yes.
Supervisor Delgado?
As far as the attorney, Joe does a great job, and there's no reason in the world that we have to spend $138,000 for another law firm to give them help when we did it with $40,000 last year. And I also believe that we should bid this out. I don't know anything about this law firm, and I probably dealt with more lawyers than anybody on this board, maybe even including Joe, and probably more than any of them all put together. And I would have liked to have spoken to somebody from this law firm before I could say I want to hire them. So I don't know how they're hiring somebody without Mr. Godlewski and myself never have spoken to these people at all. So I vote no. Motion passed.